Welcome to Miscellaneous Reconfiguration. Hey everyone, in this video we're going to be covering the reconfiguration section of the RTFM. There's a lot of really cool stuff in here, from port forwarding to locking out the user, all sorts of cool things. So let's go ahead and jump in right away. So the first one up here will actually lock the user workstation. So I figured it would be best to have the user workstation right here. Let's bring up our session. We'll go ahead, copy this, bring up our sliver session, go ahead and full screen it, and then let's see if we can paste this in here. And perfect, we locked the user screen here. This is a good example of a command that we may use during some type of effect. Now, I've done simulations before where the customer has asked us to go ahead and do a couple things to the machines just to kind of simulate if an actual cyber attack happened. So just a thought idea here, if you made a script that every 10 minutes, every 5 minutes would go ahead and run that command, it would lock the user screen every time, definitely causing them to notice. And then the user would hopefully put in some type of trouble ticket to go ahead and get that looked at. Now, I do want to mention you do have to be running with user privileges. So I did inject into one of the user processes before running that command. If you run it as system, it's not gonna work. The next couple here do require administrative privileges. This one right here, I've used a decent bit in capture the flags. Typically, I won't just turn the firewall off on an actual assessment. That would be introducing a vulnerability, which we don't wanna do. We don't wanna create vulnerabilities where there aren't any. So again, use this in your lab, use it on CTFs, but be careful running this in customer environments. This one's really cool as well. Let me go ahead and copy it over to a playbook here, and then we'll start to modify it. So this one is gonna do an IP forward. So if you wanted to run this on some workstation, you could actually forward traffic through that workstation to anything behind it. This is especially important if maybe that workstation has two different network interface cards and it could be bridging some type of network. So really, really cool. Let's go ahead and give this a try. I need to get my IP address off the original box here so I can grab it. We'll paste it in here. Let's go ahead, let's forward port 1337, and then just for testing purposes, we're gonna forward that to remote desktop protocol on our own computer here. So let's go ahead, we'll copy that, paste it right here. Awesome, we have our rule in place. Now all that's left is to test the forward. So I actually don't have a ton of firewall rules set up in this lab, so we can go ahead and try it right from here. Let's try surfing to 192.170, 153 on port 1337, and if everything works, we should get a login. So our port forward worked. It forwarded 1337 on our local machine back to ourselves on 3389. Definitely a pretty cool command. I could see it come in handy on some assessment where you have other hosts behind a host you want to forward through, or even some CTFs when they really try to lock down some section of the network. The removal is really easy as well. You just specify that listening port and this listening address, and it should go ahead and remove that command off of the box. Re-enabling command prompt. Occasionally customers will attempt to disable command prompt from use. If they do it in such a way that it is modifiable as a user, you could go ahead and check this value to see if you can re-enable it on the machine. This is another good one right here. This will list out a software installed on the target machine. Now, I do want to warn you, don't go uninstalling software off of an actual real production system. Not only is that potentially going to get you caught, but you could potentially break the computer, and your customers don't want that. So be careful running this command. If you run just this section right here, it'll actually list out the software. Then you can grab the name, you can come back and you can fit it in here, and it'll actually go ahead and perform the uninstall. IP forwarding, if you want to add some routes and you want to do IP forwarding, you will need to set this flag. This enables IP forwarding in the kernel. Now, because this is an HKLM key, it will require administrative privileges. This is another great one. Again, be careful running this on a customer machine. If you're opening up a share for everyone to touch, that means even bad guys and other just basic users in a network could also access that folder. I could see this coming in handy on capture the flag events or even your own lab event. Again, if you need some share open that you can write to with a bunch of different machines, here's your command right here. Of course, you have your net user add. This is going to add a new user to the system. And then net local group administrators username add is actually going to add that user to the local administrators group. This is going to give them admin credentials to either that local workstation, or if you run this command on the domain controller, it could make them an administrator in the domain. And then if you really want to watch the world burn, again, really good for CTFs, you can use this del command to wipe out files and subdirectories. I could see this coming in handy if maybe you wrote out a ton of log files on a customer system, and rather than going through the list, deleting one at a time, you just want to delete all 100 files. Again, be really careful you don't accidentally delete customer files. I tend to only run single deletion commands unless I absolutely have to run a big recursive delete. So be careful with that one. Don't get yourself into trouble. But that's a wrap on this video. I hope you enjoyed a quick look at a bunch of those reconfigure commands. I would say my favorite one on this list is probably the port forward. It's just a really awesome one-liner to use on Windows machines to forward traffic. I can definitely see that one coming in handy.